So the production for Little Women was always a virtual production. I was originally assigned to the spring musical when it was something else and planning to be in person, or planned to be in person. So as long as Little Women has been on the schedule, to me, it's been a virtual production. So I didn't really have to shift, but I did have to, start from the ground up, or I should say, I did get to start from the ground up with a whole new design approach. And so there are, of course, similar elements in live sound and recording, just like basics of audio signal flow, basics of gear and whatnot. But in terms of what the system design for a pre-recorded musical looks like, it's a lot more just building a recording studio. So basically, my system design for this particular show was to build a space or construct a space in the theater building for the actors to come in and record the sung vocal parts. So part of the biggest challenge that we faced when laying out the plan for how to go about this is that we can record dialogue from home because of how the lag works out. A little bit of lag is not a big deal. You don't really notice the tiny bit of lag that you would, experience on a Skype call or FaceTime call or something like that. Just because in conversation there's natural like pauses and that's totally fine, to have a pause in regular conversation. But in sung music, those kinds of pauses can destroy the whole piece. So we had to figure out a way for the actors to safely and efficiently record music together. So my design was to take over the practice rooms in the basement of the theater for an entire week and build a pretty basic recording system. So each practice room acted as a vocal isolation booth. And so in each of those rooms, I set up a mic stand with a headphone mixer and personal headphones for everybody, connected via Ethernet so they could all hear each other in real time and hear the track, and then communicate with myself and the music director, Terry LeBolt, who sat in the room across the hall, which is just the sound storage room, which we converted into a little control room. So system design wise, it's pretty basic audio signal flow, mic, preamp on the board into Pro Tools, and then I've been mixing everything in post. But that is a completely different approach than hanging speakers in the Halls Theater or something like that. So very different, but very fun. It's been a really fun opportunity to try something completely different and to get to build it from the ground up instead of having to say goodbye to the dreams of some onstage production of Little Women. So the biggest challenge, as there were many, many challenges, but I think my personal biggest challenge on this was communicating a brand new system design to a great big team via Zoom. And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to, sitting on a Zoom room and trying to express something you want to try that's never been done before. And it's, although like setting up a recording space has obviously been done by many, many people many, many times, but in the context of IUTD recording a musical, it's just something brand new. And it was a little bit of a bold thing to throw out in an initial design meeting, but eventually it was, it took us a long time, I think, to come up with ways to maintain safety, ways that everyone feels like they're in the loop and understand what's going on, and also ways that I get to put forth my best work as a designer. And I think students and professors and actors and a lot of people really, I think, can relate to the struggle of trying to express yourself over Zoom. But we have come around, and I'm glad that was the technical part of it was very easy and not especially challenging. So one of my favorite parts of my experience sound designing Little Women for a virtual setting is that I got to spend a week working closely with the cast members and working closely with Terry LeBolt. We got to sit side by side in that case, or just speak to them. And recording vocals is such a personal and vulnerable experience for a lot of people. And I am always so thrilled when I get to be the person that gives someone their first studio recording experience and can make it positive for them and can make it something that's rewarding and exciting and welcoming, and making them feel like they're able to access one of their best performances. I want people to feel safe and excited, and then have that moment where they get to listen back to what they just did, and know that it was recorded, and captures their authenticity, and captures really like the performance. And then we have that forever. That's kind of that's the beauty of recording, is then we get to have that to treasure and cherish going forward. But yeah, I do think that in the case of when I sound design things for the stage, I don't spend a lot of time personally one-on-one with actors. I kind of tape microphones to their face and then move on, and we don't really get to know each other very well. But in this case, they had to place a lot of trust in me, and they were wonderful. They all showed up and were so incredibly well prepared. And so part of what I loved about this technique is that Terry's a little bit old school with his recording, and after the first few takes, I kind of got what he was going for. But usually my professors over in the audio department are kind of training me in this more modern recording technique, where we make playlists, and so many takes of the same thing, 8 takes of the same line, and then we comp together phrase by phrase or word by word and piece together this super most perfect, well, polished, produced final product that we can then incorporate into our final mix and send out into the world. But Terry's approach was a little more like pretending we were recording to tape. So we did 1-2 takes max for everything, and then just did a couple quick punch-ins, a couple quick fixes, a couple quick edits to make everything lock together a little bit better. But I think the great thing about that approach is just doing a couple takes is that it's still maintaining the feeling of it being a show. And so I'm really grateful for that lesson from him about how to balance having the opportunity to make something super polished and super perfect, and having the opportunity to capture authenticity. And I think we together did a really great job of putting together something that everyone can be really proud of and feel really good about sharing with people now all over the world who get to see and hear this stream.